up, couture crafters? Let's chat for a few seconds. I am starting my second project. If you guys remember, this is my first little guy right here. The little beanbag cushion that holds your phone and your seam ripper, your pins, or whatever your needs are. That was number one. This is number two. This is going to be a sewing machine pad. So my sewing machine will sit here, and this right here will be some pockets that hold my rotary cutter, my scissors, my seam ripper, possibly, maybe a pin or two, a marking pin. And honestly, that's probably all I need in this little pocket that's in my lap that I'll be using on a regular basis. And then, of course, I have my little pin cushion right there. Just something to see if I can sew some straight lines, to see if I can, what it feels like, see what my machine does when I give it a sandwich, yada, yada, yada. I would have filmed me making this, but I did it in a, in like a guild kind of thing, and, you know, place where you can go and hang out and quilt. It's not a class per se, because they weren't teaching anything specific, but they get together weekly, hang out, quilt. So much fun. I love those ladies. You guys just have no idea. They have been so joyous and have brought so much to my life. So I'm glad that I'm meeting new people and meeting people who do what I do. Yada, yada, yada. So I purchased some more stuff. I bought 2 more rulers. These are the Creative Grids rulers. This one right here is 3.5 by 18.5. This one here is 3.5 by 24.5. I said I was going to get a thinner ruler. I still want one that's about 8.5 by like 3.5, but we'll see. I'm collecting them all, I think, except for the ones that look like triangles. Those just look scary at this point. This fabric, again, I got from Sew Together Stitching Lounge. Love them. So encouraging. They kind of have been giving me suggestions. It was Sue's idea for me to start with this little guy right here, and it was actually genius that I did. All I did was cut some rectangles, 18 by 20. Then this little guy down here is 5.5, I think, by 18. This pattern comes from Shabby. Is it Shabby Fabrics or is it Shabby Chic Fabrics? I think it's Shabby Fabrics on YouTube. I was going to do the one by Jenny Dome, but I kind of like this one because it was a separate piece that sits on top, and I don't know. So I cut some rectangles. The first one I think was like 18 by 20. She has the pattern. It's, you know, super simple. And then I cut 2 of the black fabrics. So this is the front, this is the back. I cut 2 of these, layered them on top of one another. There's some fusible, I don't know what it's called. Fusible interfacing maybe? I don't know. The nice people at Sew Together Stitching Lounge sold me some fusible batting, I guess. I don't know if it's fusible batting, fusible interfacing. I don't know the difference yet. It's some stuff that's fusible, and yeah, it's kind of bumpy on one side and it's kind of thick on the other. I don't see it. That's in here. That's between there. So technically I made a quilt sandwich. Then I did the same thing here. I'm actually trying binding. I bound this with Steam-A-Seam. I didn't actually stitch it. I stitched it on here, and then I just ironed it so that it stuck on the back. This is not something that's going to be getting a lot of wash, I don't think, so I'm not really tripping about that. And I really don't want to hand stitch binding on this. The first thing that I actually hand stitch the binding on will be a quilt. But this is a great way to try to play with binding. I cut some more binding strips because after I sew some straight lines right here, I'm just going to sew some straight lines, and then I will bind the whole thing, and that'll be that. And then I will have a little pouch that hangs off that's cute. Burgers and fries, it's all I eat, so that's why I love this fabric. What else? I wish somebody had told me that you cannot use your 50% coupon at Joann's on a bobbin winder. That sucker cost me $40. Oh well. Now I own a bobbin winder. How did I get these lines in here? I thought I was going to add that little bar that comes with your machine, or it came with my machine, and that would have made sure that I had the same width all the way across. However, I think that bar has to be used with my walking foot. I did not bring my walking foot with me, so I literally drew chalk lines on this black fabric and then traced these lines so that it actually quilted. When I was dreaming about this project, I saw it with kind of an argyle or crosshatch pattern. So that's what it is, guys. So again, project number 2 is a sewing machine pad. I can't wait to finish it. I'll probably show you guys me finishing this. I didn't have to attach my binding strips together. I'm going to try that for the first time right now, and I'll show you guys my technique for that. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. Okay, so this is how I connected my binding strips. If this had worked, it would have been freaking genius. I love the idea of it. However, I failed miserably, but that's okay. So you line up your strips, and then I took this ruler and I made it so that I could cut this at a 45-degree angle. So I just laid the diagonal line perfectly on the bottom. And I should have cut 3/8 right here off the tip. And I didn't. It looks like I cut, I don't know what maybe a quarter. It wasn't right though. So when I tried to line them up, although they lined up perfectly, it was wrong. This was a fail and I need to practice. But if it works, this is pretty awesome. I'm putting in some pins so that it doesn't move, and then I'm going to show you me sewing a straight line. Okay, so this is me trying to sew a straight line. So I turn on my machine. You can see I have bright red thread in there, which I love. And all I have to do in theory is just sew straight down. And when I open it, it should be perfect. Now, again, I think the issue is that I didn't cut off 3/8 from the tip. I think that's the issue. I did not try it again, but I will be, because I really don't know where my 1/4 inch is. I mean, I know this is a 1/4 inch foot that I'm using right here, but I'm still struggling with trying to line it up and where that is on my sewing machine. So the fact that I can sew a straight line and still get this binding would be great. See, it's a fail, but it doesn't have to be. So I'm going to practice and then we can figure it out together. Okay, I was going to let you all watch me finish this, but I started talking to my husband and it just did not happen that way. So forgive me. Again, this is a learning experience and you probably don't want to watch what I'm doing because some crazy things have happened here. Learning how to bind is going to be interesting. Maybe you should pay attention to the front of your quilt when you are rolling it over, because obviously I rolled over just a little bit too much over there. Binding will be interesting. Learning to bind properly, sew properly, that's going to be interesting. I should practice that. And I guess I will, because my next project will probably be the, it's either going to be a jelly roll race, which I probably should do because I need to learn how to sew straight. And the only way to get better at anything is to practice, to try it, to experiment, and that's what I'm doing. I really like the way this came out. I love that this is my second project. I love all the mistakes that are in here that I can see. I need to learn how to sew all the way instead of just stopping. I learned that I like 2.5 inch binding strips. I like a thicker binding. I like accent thread. I just learned a lot. I learned that I can miter a corner properly. I just have to want to do it. Glaring mistakes, but still it's my second piece and I finished it and it happened and I did it in a day and yay. So this is again project number 2. So the first thing I started off with was this little bean bag. Then I went to this here, and then I'm going to try either a rail fence quilt, or my mother ordered me the beginner quilt from Shabby Fabrics that'll take you through, I think, 6 different blocks, and it's smaller. I don't know. It's going to be one of the two, Or I might even do a dust cover for my sewing machine since I have so much of this fabric left, because that was my original idea, until I actually opened up the box and realized that I have this huge cover that actually came with it. So maybe I won't. I don't know. I don't know. I have a lot of this fabric and I don't feel good just throwing it out. So, and I will not just be keeping a whole bunch of scraps and things. You guys know how I feel about scraps of paper. I feel the same way about scraps of fabric. It needs to have a purpose or it's got to go, because I just don't have space. I bought a gelato, jelly roll 2 years ago, and I've always wanted to use it. So I think I'm going to actually open it and see what I can do with it. Let's see what my color story is. So again, it's either going to be a rail fence, like a jelly roll race quilt, or the one that my mother purchased. But I know she got it for me, but I know I can't have it until after Christmas. So if I want to start something this weekend, and I do, I want to keep going while I've got this oomph and drive. Let's keep going. Let's see what else I can do. Let's see what else happens. Binding this braid here went nice and easy. Binding this on the outside, oh my gosh, trying to sew a straight 1/4 inch, it just wasn't, it was not working out. And that's okay. We'll figure out why, and I will learn my machine and all the things, guys. But again, this is just a sewing machine mat. It goes right underneath my sewing machine and just hangs in my lap while I work. I have a friction pin right here. I had a rotary cutter, scissors, whatever. It's just a catch-all, seam ripper, just the things that I might use while I am sewing at my sewing machine. Again, I think it's super cute. Burgers and fries, it's all I want to eat. Let's see where this journey takes me next, guys. Thanks for checking in.